Hello children, let me welcome you all to a lesson through the virtual training center of the Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai. Now this is a lesson from one of the work from home sessions. Now children, if you remember what we were doing last time in EVS, you will remember that we were doing standard 5th EVS and we were doing the lesson history and the concept of time. This is lesson number 2 from your textbook, isn't it? Now we did part 1 of the lesson last time. We talked about day, we talked about night, we talked about rotation, etc. Now in this particular part of the lesson, we will be doing part 2. That is, we will see what is the measurement of time, how it is done, what are the various methods for measuring time. We will also talk in short about the various historic periods, and we will also talk about the scientific methods of measuring time. That is, methods which are called as the dating methods. Okay, so there is a lot that we have to do today. My name is Shraddha teacher, and come on, let's learn this beautiful lesson together here through the virtual class. So this we did last time, children. We know about what is day, and we saw in detail about how night is caused and about the rotation of the earth and so many other things. So we will not be repeating this again today. Let us straight away go and let's see how these days are clubbed together. 7 days are clubbed together, and then we call it as a week. So we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, which are the 7 days of a week. Now we also talked about what a fortnight is. So a period of 2 weeks, or we can say 14 days, is counted as a fortnight. Alright, and then we saw that such weeks and fortnights together are clubbed together, and then we have 12 months of the year. So we have January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November and December. Now the 12 months of the year, the days of the week, etc., we need not waste much time on them because you already know all this, isn't it? So now let us talk about a new thing, that is, let us talk about how time is divided into different units. Because time has to be divided into different units, children, because in the first lesson we saw that time is a continuous process. That is, it doesn't stop, it doesn't wait for anyone. So we have to have some way of measuring time, isn't it? So we have the unilinear division of time. Let us see what the unilinear division of time is, and let us start from the smallest unit. Now what is unit? Now see, when your mummy sends you to the market to buy onions, okay, or to buy tomatoes, she tells you bring 1 kg of onions or bring 1 kilo of tomatoes, isn't it? So that is when you're using something for measurement. When you're weighing something, then the unit is a kg, that is kilograms or grams or milligrams, etc. In the same way, time is also measured in various ways, in various units. So let us look at what the units of time are. So we have seconds as the basic unit of time, smallest unit of time, seconds. So 60 seconds together, they form 1 minute. Alright, 60 minutes together, it forms 1 hour. 24 hours together forms 1 day. 7 days together forms a week. 52 weeks put together is 1 year. Now for the year, we can also you can measure year not only in weeks and days, but you can also measure year in months, as we know, isn't it? So 1 year is 52 weeks, we can say. It is also equal to 12 months, alright? Or we can also say it is equal to 365 days. So this, children, are the various units of time. You have minute, hour, day, week, and year, which are the units of measurement of time. Alright, let us see once again another interesting picture here. So these are the minutes, 60 seconds, which goes on to make 1 minute. Alright, and then you will see that 60 such minutes, it makes an hour. Okay, so on this clock, can you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right up to 60. So 60 minutes make 1 hour. And then you have 24 hours, 24 hours, which makes a day. Alright, so the clock goes round twice, and then you have a day. So this is how time is measured. Alright, and now let's see the other measurements of time. So just now we talked about seconds up to year. Let's go a little bit further here, but we will still start talking with seconds. So you have seconds, minutes, hour, day, week, fortnight. 2 weeks together is 1 fortnight. Then you have month and you have year. We talked about the measurement of time till here. Beyond this now, we have century and we have millennium. Okay, and we also have a term called as a decade. I will tell you what that is. So these are all the units, as we know, which are used for measurement of time. Alright, now let us go and see which are the instruments which we use, or which is the way in which we keep time. So we use a watch or a clock to keep time, and we also use these kind of calendars to keep time. So you have one new calendar each year, isn't it? So this is about, in short, how you measure time, the units that you use and the instruments or the methods that you use in order to measure time and also keep time, manage time. Okay, so I told you there are some new concepts also here. So the concept of decade is one new concept. We know about years, but now years are also again clubbed together, taken together and given new names. So 10 years, when they are taken together, a period of 10 years is called as a decade. Okay, and a period of 100 years is called as a century. Now we know about century, isn't it? Because we all love to watch cricket. So we know that century means 100. So in the same way, for year also, 100 years means a century. And then we have 1,000 years, which is a millennium. So these are some new terms for you children. Year to we all know. So a decade, a century and a millennium. Decade is 10 years, century is 100 years and millennium is 1,000 years. Okay, let's move on and let's come to the next point in our textbook, that is about the various eras or the various historical periods. So the most common thing that we learn today about time is how time is calculated, and time is calculated according to various eras. Now the most common of them all is the Common Era or the Christian era. So let us see what the Christian era means. So we all know about the founder of Christianity, Jesus Christ. So when Jesus Christ was born, the birth of Jesus Christ marked the beginning of the Christian era. Okay, when Jesus Christ was born, we called it as the beginning, that particular year, we called it as the beginning of the Christian era. Okay, so whatever happened before the birth of Christ, before Jesus Christ was born, whatever things have happened in history are called as BCE, that is before the birth of Christ or before the Common Era. And whatever things happened after the birth of Christ, we call it as the CE or the Common Era, and we also call it as the AD. The same things, these are the same things, only names are different. So we say Common Era or we say AD, that is Anno Domini, which means the year of the Lord. Alright, so this is the most common measurement that we are using nowadays as far as time is concerned in today's times. Okay, we talk about the Common Era, that is BCE, or we talk about the era or the time as measured related to the birth of Jesus Christ. So when Jesus Christ was born, we had a new era called as the Common Era or the Christian era. Okay, so most of the calendars that we use, children, today is based on the Christian era. Okay, that is why we are looking at this in the beginning. So most of the common calendars that we use today is based on the Christian era. Now let us see how the Christian era is written or how it is shown or interpreted. So in the Christian era we have BC and we have AD. Okay, so what is BC and what is AD? So look here, this particular year is AD 1. That means this is the year when Jesus Christ was born. Okay, AD 1. And whatever happened before the birth of Jesus Christ is BC. That is before Christ. BC. And whatever happened after the birth of Jesus Christ is AD, or it is Anno Domini, as I told you, in the year of the Lord. Okay, so this is how time is calculated. One very important thing that you have to remember here is before Christ the order goes in reverse. Okay, you calculate the years in reverse. 1000 years before the birth of Christ, 2000 years before the birth of Christ, etc. So this is how we can make a timeline as far as the Christian era is concerned. Remember, AD 1 is when Jesus Christ was born. Before that is BC and after that is AD. See here? And this, children, is also called as the Gregorian calendar. This is just one additional piece of information for you. Okay, it is not there in the textbook, but it is a point of general knowledge. It is called as the Gregorian calendar. BC and AD, the most commonly used calendar. Look here in this picture, you will see the baby Jesus in the middle, and starting from 1 to 99. See, it is going in the reverse, isn't it? 1 to 99 in reverse is BC, and 1 to 99 forward is AD. Now very soon in mathematics also you will be learning about the number line. You will be learning how zeros in the center, and then you have minus figures to one side and plus figures to the other side. So when you learn that, you will be able to associate this idea and understand it better. This is just one way, children, of calculating time. One of the methods, one of the event which is taken into consideration here. What is the event? It is the event of the birth of Jesus Christ. There are many such more events, okay, from where we have started calculating different eras. For example, one such event is the coronation of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So when Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj was coronated, that is when he was declared as a king, okay, from there was a new era which was called as the Rajyabhishek Shaka. Alright, Rajyabhishek means coronation. So the coronation, just like the birth of Shivaji Maharaj was important, birth of Jesus Christ was important, in the same way, the birth of the coronation of Shivaji Maharaj was taken as a very important event, and from here a new, you can say, calendar was begun, and it was the Rajyabhishek Shaka. Okay, we also have another Shaka called as the Shalivahana Shaka. Now Shalivahana is a very legendary ruler of ancient India, and he ruled over an area called as the Pratisthana. which is the current day Paitan in Maharashtra. So, the birth of, you can say, King Shalivahana also started a new era called as the Shalivahana Shaka. You also have a similar era called as the Vikram Samvat, which was commemorated in the memory of King Vikramaditya. Okay, so there are various eras which people followed in various parts of the world, but like I told you, the Christian era or the common era is the basis for today's calendars. And these calendars are followed worldwide by all people, isn't it? So that is why it is called as common. Now, this was about Shivaji Maharaj and about King Shalivahana and King Vikramaditya. Now, there is a different calendar which our Muslim brothers and sisters follow, and that is called as the Islamic calendar. It is also called as the Hijri era. Okay. Now, why was this Hijri era? How did it start? It was it marked the migration of the founder of Islam, that is Prophet Muhammad. It marked the migration of Prophet Muhammad from Mecca to Medina, and that is the Hijri era or the Hijri calendar, which is followed by our Muslim brethren. Now, our Parsi friends, you can say, they follow the Shahi era, the Parsi community. Alright, so these are all the different kind of calendars which are followed by different people. So these, you can say, are various historical periods in history. Now history is again divided, children, into two main periods. Alright, so history, when you talk about history, these were all the eras and shakas which we use for measuring time. When you talk about periods in history or the divisions of history, history is divided into two main periods. One is prehistory. Prehistory began with writing, or when writing started. There, the second phase of history began, and till the time people started writing, whatever happened was prehistory. So this was 3 million years before the birth of Christ to 3,000 years before the birth of Christ. So when the history started when there was 3,000 years remaining for Jesus Christ to be born. All right. And in prehistory, we have how man used fire, how man started agriculture, etc. And we talk about the Paleolithic man, the Neolithic man, etc. in prehistory. Now, these words are big, I know, for you, but you have to study it in the textbook this year as part of your EVS 2 syllabus. Okay. Now, the second part of history, children, is history as we know it now. So, 3,000 years before Jesus Christ was born, up till now is history. All right. So, we have ancient history, we have medieval history, we have modern history, and even the things which are happening today. Yesterday, things which have happened are also part of contemporary history. All right. So this is how, these are the main divisions of history, you can say. Let us try and understand them once again. So the two periods of history are the prehistoric era, that is the time before history. Prehistory means time before history. Okay, and here there were no written records which were available. Nothing was written because people did not know how to write. So no written records of prehistory is available with us. And then we have the post-historic period where we have written records and people knew how to write, so written records are available. And the medieval age, modern age, etc. are all parts of post-historic era. So these are two things, children, about the various historical periods. Now, how do you know how old a thing is? Okay, how do you know? When you talk about something which you get from history, how do you decide whether it belongs to prehistoric era or post-historic era? So you have various methods which scientists use, which are called as the dating techniques. And one such method is the carbon analysis technique. Okay, now there is carbon in our body. All right, we are all human beings, whether we are living things. whether we are human beings, whether we are animals, whether it is trees. So all living things have an amount of carbon in their body. And after we die, this carbon starts becoming lesser and lesser and lesser. So you can see in the picture here, see this much is the amount of carbon at the time of our death in our body. Okay. As the years pass, the amount of carbon starts getting lesser and lesser and lesser. So when scientists study the body or the bones of the things which they find, and they find out how much amount of carbon is there, they are able to understand how old that bone is. Okay, one more clear picture for this. See, animals and plants, they all have carbon inside them. When an animal or a plant dies, see, you can see 100% carbon is there in their body. Whatever amount of carbon is there, that is, whatever is there in their body. As the years pass, this carbon goes on reducing. See, from 100% it becomes 50%, from there it becomes 25%, and then it goes on reducing. That is how scientists come to know how old this particular thing is which we have found. Alright, there is another dating technique in your textbook which is called as dendrochronology. Dendrochronology means finding out how old a tree is. Okay, see, it is a way in which you find out how aged or how old a tree is. It is also called as a tree ring dating. When you cut the trunk of a tree, children, you will be able to see such rings in the tree. So scientists, what they do, they study the rings, they count the number of rings, and then they come to a conclusion that yes, the tree is so many years old. Alright, so this was about the second part of lesson number 2. I hope you understood how we talked about the unilinear division of time, how we divided history into various periods, okay, and also how scientists come to know about how old a thing is. Okay, so that is all for today from the virtual training center of the Brihan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika. Let us meet again next time for another interesting lesson. Till then, thank you so much.